Africa. I have Elon is from South Africa. I don't want to get Elon involved. That's all I have to do, get him into another thing. But Elon happens to be from South Africa. This is what Elon wanted.
So in today's episode of Donald Trump Embarrasses Himself and the Entire Country in the Process, he had a meeting today with the South African president and launched into a tirade about how there is, quote unquote, white genocide happening in South Africa. And to be clear, there is not.
What will it take for you to be convinced that there's no white?
Take from many locations if we feel there's persecution or genocide going on.
It's not a white genocide in South Africa. It's a little something called reparations, which is something that never happened in America. So I think it's a good idea that we finally let it happen in South Africa, because colonizers that look like me moved to the area and stole the land of black farmers. And it's only fair that we give land back through policies fairly to ensure that there is a more equitable society in South Africa.
This goes to show us a picture of it does not matter how many black lives can be lost. One white man's life is better than 1,000 black people's lives lost. They're not talking about apartheid. They're not talking about the oppression. They're not talking about Urania, where black people are not allowed to go. They're not talking about places in South Africa actually where black people cannot even buy a house or rent there because they're not white. They're not talking about that. They are fixated on these 3 white Afrikaners that died 5 years ago. Yeah. They are not fixated on how many black South African lives have been lost. And we even talking about literally last year, this year, beginning of this year, where white farmers were on a rant. Black people and feeding them to pigs. Trump is so serious with this situation of rescuing white farmers from South Africa that he even brought in the South African president himself to the White House so that they can talk about how South Africa is oppressing white people in South Africa. He's literally trying to justify. He's trying to do everything that he can to justify why he brought in Afrikaners from South Africa to America. Looks like Ramaphosa didn't care. And they even played a video on TV of Julius Malema, who is like the #1 competitor for presidency in South Africa, where he was talking about white people, that we need to get rid of these white people. We need to finish them because this is our country, this is our continent. And Trump was going like, see? Yeah, see? There is the evidence, there is the evidence. This is why I need to rescue these white Afrikaners and bring them to America. This is why I'm giving them a good life here. Because see what black people in South Africa want to do to Elon Musk's ancestors, brothers and sisters and cousins? But you know who had something to say? White people. Yeah. And you know what? I love to see it when white people themselves see that their orange man is literally doing nonsense. Because at least when they see it firsthand from him, they get to chill. Yeah, they get to chill. They got too excited so soon that they voted MAGA. Hooray, hoo-la-la. When they get to see his bull, his nonsense, what he is doing, wasting taxpayers' money on these foreigners, yeah, they'll get some common sense in there.
Let's kick things off with President Trump's meeting with the president of South Africa today. And because it's Donald Trump, things got weird.
Death, 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 horrible death, death, I don't know.
It's not a white genocide in South Africa. It's a little something called reparations, which is something that never happened in America. So I think it's a good idea that we finally let it happen in South Africa, because colonizers that look like me moved to the area and stole the land of black farmers. And it's only fair that we give land back through policies fairly to ensure that there is a more equitable society in South Africa.
So in today's episode of Donald Trump Embarrasses Himself and the Entire Country in the Process, he had a meeting today with the South African president and launched into a tirade about how there is, quote unquote, white genocide happening in South Africa. And to be clear, there is not. No human rights groups say that there is. The government doesn't say that there is. No news outlets say that it is. This is the work of Elon Musk and trying to protect these rich colonial farmers and move them to the United States on our dime. All while he is telling other people who are trying to come to this country and claim refugee status to not come here. So if you're keeping score at home, brown people who claim refugee status are not welcome in the United States, and white South African farmers who are not facing any sort of need for a refugee status are being granted entry. Like, if these guys don't want to be called racist, they really need to stop doing racist shit like this. It is so obvious to anyone paying attention that they are clearly letting these people come in because they're white, and they're keeping the other people out because they are black and brown.
I am so sorry to say this way, ladies and gentlemen, but this is giving typical white man thinking he knows better about the African continent than Africans themselves. No, because how does it make sense that DJT is sitting across the president of the country that he claims it has white Genoc, when this man he's sitting across is actually in a coalition with them white people? And Trump is sitting there trying to convince the world and trying to convince the president of the country that your people that you run, the people that you govern, the people that you rule, are no better about them than you do. I'm sorry, but it's giving typical white man. I'm sorry, it's giving typical white knows everything. White can say anything. White can do anything I want. Yeah, it's giving white supremacy. It's giving white entitlement, and it's giving, yeah.
Cyril Ramaphosa, South Africa's president, was in the White House today with Donald Trump. And you know who was staring daggers through him? According to the Irish Times, but you can see it from this photo. Our old friend and nemesis, Elon Musk. Yes, Elon Musk, who's also from South Africa and is also trying to float the false idea that white South Africans are being discriminated against and must, escape murder to the United States. Elon Musk, who said he was no longer going to donate to political campaigns, that's because his companies are tanking. He's back in the White House, though. This guy can't help himself, so I can't help myself but to remind you, remember, do not buy Tesla. Do not buy or pay attention or help or fund or anything that has to do with Elon Musk. That includes Starlink. That includes SpaceX. Because Tesla is going to die. Tesla is going to literally become just like the pillow company. And as I predicted months ago, and you can watch my old videos, Elon Musk is the new My Pillow guy.